We're live for the live stream that is also an F1 Fantasy live stream today. So obviously Tuesday is usually the day we release F1 Fantasy at 6 p.m. It's 12:30. You've got it early. Basically, we've got a very busy week this week.
Yeah.
So this is all we've managed to get into. We'll try and do some sort of screen sharing if we can. If not, we shall just show you the spreadsheet next week.
I shall shout numbers at you.
All that. Stephen to do that.
5!
4, 3, 2, 1.
33!
Maybe we shouldn't do that. But anyway, it is the F1 Fantasy Belgian GP review, Zandvoort preview as well, because we are on the back of a triple header.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up within Formula One, so plenty to go on. And F1 Fantasy was chaos this week. I'll just tweet that we are live. So, Stephen, if you want to start off with, because I think a lot of people will watch this on playback, so it doesn't necessarily matter. But yeah, if you want to go through the top scorers this weekend.
No, I don't.
Oh, well.
I wasn't ready for the top scorers for this weekend, last weekend. I'm mid doing them, so some point in this podcast, when we look at the fantasy, I'll come on to the scores. But first part is looking at the wonderful race we had on the weekend.
Oh, yeah. The wonderful race that we had.
The wonderful race. Spa.
Wonderful race.
Spa, it was full of incredible defensive drives, I thought. No one could get past anyone.
Yeah, it was so wonderful.
So wonderful. Yeah, it was an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. Complete mess. Any other words? But we move on. It's a triple header. I know we had to wait 4 weeks for that and a great track, but it's not like we have to wait long for the next race, which of course we'll come on to, being the return of the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. How much more stalling do I need to do?
Just a little bit. I'm almost there.
Should I start the team roundup?
Yeah, let's start that. Let's go with that. Let's do that.
You actually want to do team roundup?
Why?
I mean, there's nothing to round up from the race.
Well, I mean, fancy points were scored, so therefore there is something to round up.
No, we're not there
in
yet.
This race.
We're not there. Stop rushing the fantasy part.
Hello, Katie. Welcome,
Hello, Katie.
welcome to the chat. But points were scored.
Okay, points were scored. Come on then. Let's hear it.
George Russell, how many points did he get?
Let's not do a rundown. We'll look at the star performers, eh? Star performers from the weekend. Kick us off with
Max Verstappen, incredible pole position.
Yeah.
But the real highlight of the weekend was George freaking Russell. Unbelievable. And he was there in my team. He was right there. And in a normal race, let's all be fair, George Russell would have dropped back and it wouldn't have been so incredible. But the fact that bloody weather, whoever's controlling the controls up there, didn't anyone tell him there was an F1 race on? Rain. And it was raining all Monday as well. What's going on? Perez ruining my team. But apart from that, it was all looking decent. Carlos Sainz on a race streak. Didn't count, did it?
Wait, did it not?
I think it did.
Flipping hell. Don't fake news this.
No, I think it did.
He did have a race streak.
I think he did because he classified top 10, didn't he? Because he was outside the top 10, but with Perez and penalties, I believe he made it into the top 10.
Yeah, he did.
But still, Carlos Sainz would have done much better. Oh. A visionary had Lando Norris, Turbo Driver. Welcome to the chat as well.
Hello.
Honestly.
let's more about your race thoughts, okay? Fancy, put it aside for a moment.
It was wet. It was a wet race. Look,
don't use that word.
At the end of the day,
don't use race.
Okay. At the end of the day, the right decision was made, wasn't it? Because those conditions were far too dangerous for the drivers to race in. And did they do everything possible to give it a chance to be a race? I guess they did, didn't they?
Well, there was a lot of talk about they should have stayed out early doors.
Potentially. Zandvoort, sand is colour of Stephen's hair. Thanks, Fergus.
Sand?
Welcome to the show. The race could have been incredible, but I think the track in particular, it would have been too risky. Look, I had a bad feeling about Eau Rouge going into after the Norris crash. Obviously, the incident that happened in the W Series. Thankfully, everyone involved in those incidents were okay. But I don't know, it felt like a bad feeling, because everything seems to have been going wrong at Eau Rouge recently, and I don't know if just incidents are being highlighted more, or it just looks like the runoffs. I think, are just bouncing cars too far in. Especially the runoff on the left-hand side, it just isn't.
Yeah.
Just isn't enough. But even in sadly Hubert's case, he went off into the far side one and still spun back onto the track. But I don't know why they awarded points. I'll be honest with you, because it wasn't a race, was it? They just had 3 processional laps around the safety car. I mean, they should. I don't think anyone would have complained if it was a cancelled race. But George Russell, maybe.
George wanted recognition for his qualifying.
Yeah, his qualifying was great, and
in that point of view, should the results should have been classified because the qualifying?
No. Okay. Well, because there are some outstanding qualifying performances, but you don't get awarded points in qualifying. That is just F1.
It's like the two extremes. The sprint race made qualifying completely non-existent, whereas the Spa craziness made qualifying the pinnacle of the weekend. That decided everything.
Yeah. I just don't get how you can award points for that race. Because they didn't. I know essentially they've awarded it for qualifying because it was where they started the racing positions, but technically they didn't, because Sergio Perez qualified in the top whatever, and they classified his crash into it. They classified the engine penalties and everything. So they classified on starting position, not necessarily on qualifying performance.
Yeah, but 90% of the grid was on qualifying performance.
90%, but I'm still being I'm being particular here. Look, you can't give points for that. That's a mess. You can't constitute that as a race. But if they cancel the race, then they have to give refunds, don't they?
Yes.
Or at least for 3-day weekends, they'd have to at least refund the Sunday part of the ticket.
I don't think it was more on the refunds. I think it was more corporate sponsorships and stuff like that.
Well, if a race doesn't happen, then the sponsors don't have to pay the money that they were signed up for.
I feel like that would have been a thing, because I think there's more money in sponsorship than there is tickets, because the tickets go to the circuit, not to the FIA or whatever.
Okay.
F1. I presume that's more the thing.
Okay. All right. JB's there. GG to those who turboed Russell, but yeah, I agree that points shouldn't have been awarded, but I guess it's what is. I think for fantasy, you get a load of curveballs in the season, like obviously the Max Verstappen incident at Silverstone, kind of ruining a lot of ours who waited for the Mega Driver there. But for here, I don't know. It's not a massive weekend in fantasy.
No,
absolutely not. But it does kind of why. I guess the main people who've lost out here are probably the people with the money teams, because if you've got money, then you're not having George Russell.
Yeah.
But most people who haven't made money through the game are cost. But that's just the kind of things you have to go up. I wonder why the leaderboards are taking so long to update as well. Yeah, I guess they don't know. It's just a weird thing. I don't even know.
It's still going on. The fantasy weekend for Spa. It hasn't finished yet.
Yeah.
They said it's starting.
I guess they're not entirely sure how many points that they want to award as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I got 152 points from the weekend. What did you get?
I'll get back to you.
Stephen to get back to me. But it's tough, isn't it? 2 years in a row. It's difficult because Spa 2020 wasn't a great race and this one was a non-event, not allowed to race. And I don't think the modern Pirelli full wets cope with wet weather as well as the old tyres used to. But still, regardless, the spray, regardless of what tyre on, the spray was going to be too dangerous. But Zandvoort this weekend, are people looking forward to it? It was meant to be, I think, a little bit of a tricky one sandwiched in between Spa and Monza because it was unknown, and Spa and Monza are usually pretty good races. So it would soften it. But now Zandvoort's going to be the first F1 race action that we've had since Hungary. Is it going to be a good race, or is that going to be processional due to the narrowness of the track?
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult in the game to make any moves, really. Turn one, kind of, but still that could be an absolute mess. But yeah, I think the GP was the shortest ever race in history. Yeah, I believe it was. It was 3 minutes, 27 seconds, 3 minutes, 27 seconds, something like that.
I got 166.
Well done. Good for you.
What did you get?
152. Because you had Ocon and I had Alonso, who I think would have done well in the race. But, okay. The longest I've ever sat down to watch a race for the shortest ever race in history. It's so true. At least in the Canada one, you know, where we got that heavy rain in 2011, we actually did get a race. But, yeah, I mean, it just sucks, doesn't it? Sucks to have no F1 race, especially giving up so much of your time to watch it as well for nothing. But could they have done any more, Stephen?
Well, it's all the talk about it could have been run on Monday. The thing is...
Like, could it?
Yeah, you got all the marshals as volunteers. Could you get another full pack of marshals to make sure the race was safe? Probably not. A lot of spectators probably didn't have accommodation or they had work.
Unfortunately, the spectators would have been unfortunate, miss.
Yes.
That wouldn't have been the key one. The key one is the marshals, isn't it?
Yeah. And also TV. Everyone's got schedules that are planned weeks, months in advance. They'd have to do a lot of shifting to get F1 their coverage or whatever. And do F1 have to pay the TV companies, or do the TV companies have to pay F1 more because they get more coverage? It was probably a lot of mess to move it to the Monday.
Yeah.
The corporate side and also the safety side with the marshals.
It seems easy. You're like going, well, everyone's there. Why don't we just race tomorrow? And I know, obviously, a lot of, I think, American fans were getting involved. And obviously, happens on oval racing. They have a reserve day. But, that's the plan. Because most times in F1, the rain that you have doesn't affect the race so much that you can't physically race.
Mm.
Most occasions that it does rain, you can race.
Yeah.
In Formula One. Where on oval racing, you cannot race. So that is just something that has to be planned into the procedure. And usually they probably have it on the Saturday and then the Sunday is a reserve day. So it's over the weekend and not going into a weekday. And so spectators more likely. And because it's in states, spectators are most likely to be local. There are obviously people who go from there. And obviously the Indianapolis 500 and Daytona 500, they're massive events. So it has to happen. So they will plan for every eventuality. Where cancelling a race is frustrating But as seen in F1, it's just a machine. It just keeps going, it keeps churning, and especially it's the start of a triple header. It's not like it was. I think actually, if it was in Hungary's position and it was going into the summer break, they may have looked into something.
Push it back a weekend
to make it more feasible.
Maybe
they might have done. I don't know. It might have been easy to kind of figure out that one. But as it currently stood at the start of a triple header that's going to be demanding on the teams anyway, they're just like, that's fine. My big thing is, I don't know why they were so desperate to constitute a race, but you're right, it's money. And money talks. And that's the only reason that it constitutes.
Good old Lewis was calling them out on.
Yeah.
I saw it, the F1 Twitter was quoting Lewis and going, it's a shame for the fans and great job for them being there, but they didn't include the whole bit about the refund, I don't think. Or him calling F1 out on being money driven rather than fan driven.
Yeah.
Quite amusing.
It's the difficult thing with Formula One. That's probably a bigger topic, to be fair. In Formula One, in its such size, because it is globally the biggest motorsport in the world, money is going to talk, because it's always at the advancement of technology. It's expensive to run Formula One teams. Realistically, the money has to come first. It's not nice. It's not nice for fans of the sport, because you're like, it's with any sport. What if there aren't any fans, if there aren't any people interested in it and engaging on it? But, just look at the sponsors are probably going to be happy that it's cancelled, because I'm looking, I think FP1 Wheels Comedy Review got high views. I think Deanna from Relapse F1 got high views on their release, because everyone was talking about it. And so there was a lot of traction. And actually, maybe in the event of a normal F1 race, if the F1 race has been quite dull, or just kind of Max goes and leads and there'd been some nice action, the race probably wouldn't have got more traction. What's the phrase? It's often any publicity is good publicity.
Yes. Indeed it is.
Indeed it is.
Well, not all the time. I've got the fantasy results ready if you have finished your summary of your thoughts of the Spa weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
in the racing.
Let's give the biggest kind of chops here. George Russell was incredible. Mm-hmm. Incredible lap to get that Williams. The timing of that lap that they got out was incredible, but still, he wasn't where he found that space. It was still not like Lewis Hamilton couldn't beat it. Bottas couldn't beat it. Perez couldn't beat it. Vettel, all those couldn't beat it.
Yeah,
which are cars that have been traditionally better than Williams all season. So, was fantastic in terms of that, and it was only a mega lap from Max that was able to stop it.
George said they saw the data and they had the 17th fastest car, at least on the race trim. So, yeah, good for fantasy, because he would have been out of the points probably, and big minus points. But talking about fantasy, I have got the top 5 now. We'll do the review of the top five drivers, all 20 drivers actually. So I'll jump into it. Obviously, it's basically qualifying, bar one man who had this race streak. So Max Verstappen topped it with 49 points. George Russell, a mighty 36 points. Lewis Hamilton, 32 points. Daniel Ricciardo, 28 points. Sebastian Vettel, 22 points. 25 points. Pierre Gasly. Sorry, I'm on a phone.
He's all over the place.
Pierre Gasly, 22 points. Esteban Ocon, 19 points. Carlos Sainz with the race streak, 16. Charles Leclerc, 14. Mick Schumacher, 9. Antonio Giovinazzi, 9. Valtteri Bottas, 9. Oh, geez. I think I'm still there. Nicholas Latifi, 7. Lando Norris, 7. Kimi Räikkönen, 6. Fernando Alonso, 5. Yuki Tsunoda, 4. Nikita Mazepin, 4 points. Lance Stroll, 2. And the only man on a negative this week, Checo Perez, -2 points. bish bash bosh. I haven't got the teams for you, but yeah.
Chin up, visionary. Apparently, they censored the team radios during the safety car because drivers like Vettel were calling the FIA out. Yeah, that's no sense. I mean, Vettel was calling the FIA out all weekend, wasn't he? Especially on the instant. You know, it was so frustrating for Lando Norris because he probably was the guy who would have got pole. He was the quickest guy out there. And it was, when they were out there, it was unsafe conditions.
Yeah.
And yeah, unfortunately for Norris, he pretty much, writ off the car. Well, he didn't actually. They did a fantastic repair job and only had to replace the gearbox, which I thought was going to be a lot worse than what it actually was. Technically, Verstappen should have 44. He got 5 points for fastest lap, which he shouldn't have got, as fastest lap wasn't awarded in the race. Cheers, JB, for that. Very interesting indeed.
Mazepin get fastest lap?
Yeah.
Wait.
So I presume, but you only get fastest lap if you're in the top 10.
There should be a star here and go, these scores are subject to change because they haven't been finalised yet.
No, I think they're still trying to figure out what the hell went on.
It still says started next to Belgium, which means it's still live points.
Quick change your team.
You can't change your team.
No, I know. Yeah.
So those scores are subject to change. Yeah, Max maybe 44. Nikita maybe 9 points.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
But they now say fastest lap wasn't awarded. So weird. So literally so weird. Okay. So let's look ahead to Zandvoort this weekend.
Yes.
Let's put a side spar. First ever Dutch Grand Prix since 1985, and I believe Niki Lauda was the last guy to win there. I think that's Thea in the background.
Yeah,
doing some weird things.
They won't hear it.
No, absolutely not. But we hear it. Right.
Niki Lauda, last race winner, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Max Verstappen. I just feel like he is the pick this weekend. Just looking ahead for the preview, I think this is going to be Red Bull's race. I think it could be double podium for Red Bull.
Double podium, 1-2.
1-2, Perez and Verstappen.
Well, everyone's coming in with no data, but obviously I think Max has been around Zandvoort in a couple of cars. So he's going to have some extra knowledge about the track. Yeah, I feel like Max is going to be a little bit unstoppable, especially with the roar of the Orange Army.
JB makes a good point here. Vettel is a must for Zandvoort with the qualifying streak, and he's on really good form. I think so, especially in qualifying. It could be really good. And also, it's a narrower street circuit style track, you can say, where qualifying comes into, where that Aston Martin has looked stronger this year, actually. So I think wait for practice, but all signs do tend to point to Sebastian Vettel looks like a really good pick for this weekend.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a Hungary-esque race, little on-track overtakes. Although it's going to be super cool seeing the final bank corner, see if anyone can make a move on the bank corner.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Though, I guess
that's where they have to line it up. So they're going to have to glue to the person and then try to... Because it's not a long pit straight.
No. Well, I guess it's because obviously banking corner is traditionally seen in ovals. But I guess they're in different trim, aren't they? Because the banked corners in IndyCar tend to be like the super speedways, like Texas.
Yeah.
So Gateway is kind of a much more gradual banking and not kind of as steep. So, mate, I was going to say the aero kits might come in, but we'll see. We'll see. Vettel is going to be goated. My guy. You were never going to diss Vettel, were you? Let's be honest. The only drivers, constructors with streaks are Vettel in qualifying, Red Bull in qualifying, and Williams in race, I think. So, wow.
The best moment of the season so far, Williams on a race streak.
That's incredible. That is incredible. Zandvoort is such a chaos.
And that is our top tip. Williams are a must constructor. Building on from an impressive P2, I feel like George can win at Zandvoort.
I can't take this guy seriously. Dejen Nienos, I butchered your name, so I apologise. Zandvoort is such chaos at the moment. All those people looking for trucks of the teams. Have you seen those videos? No, I haven't seen those videos. But yeah, I imagine it is probably chaos because the F1 circus rolls into town. But what do you go? Carlos Sainz still a good pick, or would you go Charles Leclerc?
It's tricky. It's
Because
tricky.
you're probably at Zandvoort going to be backing the qualifying guys.
Yeah.
So maybe a George Russell will come into play.
Possibly. Yeah.
An Ocon comes into play.
Ocon.
He's traditionally quite good in qualifying. Max is just the main guy to have. Lewis, will be right up there, but I think just the cost of Lewis now that it kind of felt like Spa might be the race to go it, but seeing as Red Bull didn't take those engine penalties and don't look like they're going to be taking them till later on in the season, Red Bull looked the strongest car, didn't they, at Spa?
Yeah. In the conditions, in the wet conditions. In dry, maybe Mercedes could match them. But in the wet, Max did look pretty strong.
It did. Apparently all the trucks are next to the beach. That's very cool.
Sorry?
Well, Zandvoort's right by the coast, isn't it?
So they're all on the beach.
Yeah, apparently so.
Fair enough.
Go from there. Is Vettel worth the turbo with the qualifying streak, or do you reckon he can qualify in the top 10?
It's a risky one because the quali is only 5 points. So
Yeah.
you're only getting an extra 5 points.
It's not a mega. I feel like Lando Norris is probably going to be the turbo driver for this weekend.
Yeah.
He always traditionally is a very good qualifier.
Although if Sebastian can qualify top 5 again with the quali streak, could he get it? Maybe. It's a close call because quali. We're thinking quali is going to be king.
What?
So if he can get in the top 5, which he's showing he's in form, they can get like a top 5.
Well, I say looking at things actually. I obviously contradicted myself earlier. I was obviously saying double Red Bull podium for Perez, but actually I don't, because we're just reiterating that we think this is going to be very quali heavily dominated the track, and Perez weaker suit is his qualifying.
Yeah, hasn't got to grips with it.
So maybe it's a Bottas Hamilton on the podium, and maybe Bottas might be a good guy to bring in.
I thought you were going Bottas Hamilton F1 fantasy team. I was like, what?
No. Bottas potentially to kind of bring in for this weekend. I think for the kind of money teams, I reckon you could probably build something around there.
Max Bottas team?
Yeah,
maybe. Bottas is great quality.
I think that's a real possibility, and both the Ferraris have been strong in qualifying, so it may even be a Ferrari constructor weekend over Red Bull.
Yeah.
As always, plenty of thoughts going through our head. Go for that. My team is probably going to be, this is JB for Zandvoort, Sainz, Verstappen, Gasly, Vettel, Norris and Red Bull. Maybe Norris is my turbo. Okay, solid team from there. As a Dutchie, I think Verstappen crashes in the first corner because my friend comes over, and every time that friend comes over, Max crashes.
God damn it, tell them to go!
Tell them they are not allowed round! Steven's going to be fuming if Max crashes out on the first lap. I'm just trying to think of more. I think we pretty much summed up Zandvoort. It's going to be qualifying dominated. Max is the guy to pick. Maybe you work room for kind of Bottas. I'd probably steer clear of kind of Sergio Perez now, thinking about it. Charles Leclerc becomes a very attractive option as well. Mr. Quali. Norris is an absolute must. Vettel feels like an absolute must if you can afford him. And then, I suppose it's the toss-up between Sainz and Leclerc, but Sainz has been on these tight, windy... Leclerc has been on these tight, windy circuits, traditionally better in qualifying. Although, did Sainz out-qualify him in Hungary?
Oh, now you're asking me to think back 2 races again. No, you're asking me to think back before
A
the summer
month
break.
ago.
It's over a month. I don't know. He's had Leclerc's is beating him in the head-to-head on qualifying. Those are the words. I would stay clear of any rookies.
JB, Sainz crashed in Hungary. There we go. I stuffed that one up. You know who we haven't mentioned, who's a big guy, and I'm wearing their top, Pierre Gasly.
Big.
He's one of the qualifiers on the grid.
Yep.
Top
Mega.
qualifiers on the grid.
Goes under the radar. The man of top 6, top 5s he's got this season.
Yeah, he's immense over one lap. So I feel like Norris, Vettel, Gasly, Verstappen, and build whatever you can around that last driver. And if you can afford a Leclerc, go for Leclerc. Maybe even Leclerc or Bottas, because Bottas traditionally is probably going to finish higher.
Yeah, because of the car. However, rumours are coming out that Bottas has already been told he hasn't got the seat and he's lining up a move to Alfa Romeo. And George is off to Mercedes.
Just got an exciting email through there, I believe. You keep waffling and go from there, but I'm just going to confirm before I mention it, because obviously we were meant to go on Oz, weren't we? But I believe we have just got an email ping through that it is live on the App Store.
Bam. Excellent. Breaking F1 Fanatics news. We should be on Oz for Monza qualifying. The qualifying show with F1 Fanatics. We'll come on to that, though. Back to Bottas. Mindset. Also, he had a bit of a rough qualifying in Spa. Is he fully there now with Mercedes? Or have Mercedes done a bit of a Ferrari with how we saw Sebastian Vettel? The relationship just deteriorating. If he has been told, find another seat. Is Bottas a safe pick?
Did you read the comment from
No.
Visionary about a wet race?
No.
There's rain forecast. There is no way I'm picking Checo or Bottas again in a kind of wet race. No one. So yes, confirmation there. Oz Sports, I think Oz, it should now be on the Apple App Store. So for any of you Apple users out there who obviously enjoy our live streams, we want you to be involved in the qualifying, post-qualifying live stream that we'll be doing on there. We'll go through kind of how fantasy teams are looking for the weekend, who's going to look like, who's done well. Obviously, it won't be in between the FP thing, so your teams would have been selected, but we can go through the qualifying points, and we can also go through how we think people are going to score in the race, as well as general thoughts from qualifying. And hopefully it's exciting as the qualifying was in Spa, to be fair, because that would have been a great one to start with. Forget about the race. The qualifying would have been a great live stream. But yes, for iOS users, it is now on the App Store. So I think all you have to type in is Oz. We'll find a link and we'll be sharing that on Twitter as well. But yeah, so you can download the app, and we will go through before. We'll probably do a little kind of like screen recording video of what you can look out for going on the F1 Fanatic shows. And remember, it is kind of like an event with a team. So we have FP1 Will, who will be doing the pre-race show on the Friday. We'll be doing the post-qualifying show on the Saturday. And then F1 Gamer will round off the weekend, usually live streaming the race with his watch-alongs on YouTube. And then after the race, he will be going into a post-race discussion on Oz.
Bam.
Bam. I think we've promoted it there. Happy
There we
days.
go.
Perfect. What a way for it to come through on there. But yeah, it would be chaos. Imagine Lewis winning in Zandvoort. They will need riots, I guess. Yeah, that would be absolutely crazy. Heisenberg team. I will probably go with Max, Norris Turbo, Seb, Charles, Gasly, and Ferrari. Strong team, I think. Very strong team.
Yeah. With the Seb, Norris, Charles, Gaz, Max. Nice.
I reckon I could probably get that team in, so I may join you on that one.
There we go. Staying clear of Red Bull. I think Ferrari is the most feasible. Because they got the best driver pairing at the moment.
Yeah, Carlos and Charles have just been pretty damn consistent. And I just don't know what Checo's going to bring to the table. The race win almost swings it in Red Bull's favour, but I think it'll be pretty close either way. But it just means in case anything does happen to Max, it's basically Max or bust.
Yeah.
Where Charles and Carlos kind of, you feel like top 10 performances are coming in. Even McLaren as well, with Ricciardo's popped it because he got a great qualifying result in Spa. That could have realistically been 2 cars in the top 4 for McLaren.
Yeah.
Which would have been super impressive.
But there we go. Is that about it?
I think that's about it, to be fair.
I mean, we haven't been going for too long, but there was literally not a race to review.
Yeah.
So he's kind of just been looking at Zandvoort and...
Yeah, the fan section came in pretty damn early.
Yeah.
On that basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that is it. Look out for the IndyCar podcast for you IndyCar fans out there that will be releasing another episode there and hopefully another feature video. But like I said, a pretty busy week. That's why we're live streaming F1 Fantasy weekly this week. So we'll see from there. But big one to watch out for is that post-qualifying on the Oz app for you iOS Apple users. We'll be promoting it on our social medias over the next coming days. But yeah, guys, have a great rest of the week. Enjoy, fingers crossed, some racing at Zandvoort. Let's not have another Spa situation. Good luck in fantasy, and always get involved in those comments. Let us know your fantasy teams. Obviously, thank you for the guys who've been in chat and sharing their teams along the way. We'll keep looking in kind of, you can always add in comments and ask what our thoughts are ahead of the weekend and during practice sessions. I usually stay on pretty top on that in terms of replying to comments for our thoughts, if you would like them, of course. But that's it today. If you're new around here or haven't done so, Stephen, what can they do?
They can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it. So for now, you F1 fans, keep racing.